In this video, we are going to continue practicing graphing of our piecewise functions. Now, so let's start off by graphing this piece of the function. All right, think of this as y equals negative x plus 3. Now, this domain is going to tell us the endpoint at which we need to start. So, since we want x values that are less than 2, that tells us that the endpoint is going to occur at 2. We need to know the y value of the endpoint as well. So we'll use this equation for that. So I'm going to get that y value by doing, let's see, I'm substituting in 2 for x. So that's going to give me negative 2 plus 3, which is 1. Okay, so our endpoint is the point 2, 1. Now this point should not be included because we want x values that are less than 2, not equal to 2. So we will make this an open circle. If this had been or equal to, we would make it a closed circle. So let's put an open circle at 2, 1. Okay, so over 2 up 1. We'll have an open circle right there. Now, let's just use the slope for the rest of the points. The slope is negative 1. In other words, down 1 over 1. So look, if I were going to the right, I would go down 1, right 1 like this. But I'm not. We want x values that are less than 2. That means we want to go to the left from here. So instead of going down 1, right 1, I need to go up 1, left 1 like this. Alright, so these are the points where the x values are less than 2. Okay, so let me just erase those extra points that I put when I was making my argument. So the first piece of my graph is going to look like this. Okay, now let's go ahead and change colors and graph the other piece of the function, y equals x plus 1. So again, I'm going to start with my endpoint, and again, my endpoint is going to be 2, something. The y value, though, substituting 2 for x, that gives me 2 plus 1, which is 3. And we will make this one a closed circle because we want the x values to be greater than or equal to 2, so we're going to include this point. So 2, 3. So over 2 up 3, over 2 up 3 would be right here, and we'll make that a nice closed circle. Let me just erase my mistake for a second. Okay. Now the slope here is positive 1, so that is up 1 over 1. So that would be like this. Up 1, right 1. Now, again, we wanted x values that are greater than or equal to 2. That's why we are going to the right. Alright, going to the right, these values are greater than 2. So that's why we are drawing the right-hand side of the line. That's it for number 5. Okay, let's take a look at number 6. Alright, let's start with the first piece of the graph, which is y equals x. Now, this is going to give us the endpoint, so it should be 1, something. We need the y value. Well, y equals x, so the y value will equal the x value, which in this case is 1. So this is going to be the point 1, 1. We will make it an open circle because we want values that are less than 1, not equal to 1, so we need to leave this out. Now the slope is 1 over 1. It's an invisible 1 over 1. So if I were going to the right, I would go up 1 over 1 like this. But I'm not. I need to be going to the left because I want the x values that are less than 1. So if I want to go to the left where the x values are less, then I need to go down 1, left 1 like this. Okay, so my first piece of my piecewise function will look like this. Alright, and now I'm just going to erase those extra points that I put while I was explaining to you. Alright, now let's go back, switch colors, and do the other piece. So now I'm going to do the second piece, y equals 2x. Again, I'm going to start with the endpoint, which is going to be 1 comma something. This is my x value. I need the y value, which I will get from right here. This is going to be 2 times 1, which is 2. Alright, so 1 comma 2 is my endpoint. This will be a closed circle because of the or equal to shows that we need to include this point. So 1 comma 2 is right here, and this is a closed circle like we said. Okay, the slope is 2, so that's up 2, right 1. So going from my endpoint, I'm going to go up 2, right 1, over and over again. Alright, so my second piece of my piecewise function is going to look just like this. Alright, that's it for number 6. Okay, how about number 7? So let's start with the first piece, y equals x. Let's go ahead and get our endpoint, which should be 2 comma something. What's the y value going to be? Well, the y is going to equal the x, so this should also be 2. So that tells me that my endpoint is going to be at 2 comma 2, which is right here. I'm making this a closed circle because of the or equal to. It's got to be included. Now, I need, so normally y equals x, I'm thinking the slope is 1 over 1. So normally I would go up 1 over 1 like this. But that's going to the right. For this piece, we need to go to the left where the x values are less than 2. So instead of going up 1, right 1, I need to go down 1, left 1 like this. Okay, so my first piece of my piecewise function is going to look like this. Alright, let's go back for the second piece of my piecewise function. Alright, my last piece is y equals x plus 3. Let's get the endpoint, which will be 2 comma something. I need the y value. I will get that by substituting in the x. 2 plus 3 is 5, so 2 comma 5. This should be an open circle because we want the values greater than 2, not equal to 2. So open circle at 2 comma 5. So that's right here. Open circle right here. Now looking at y equals x plus 3, the slope is 1 over 1. So that's up 1, right 1. And I do want to go to the right because we want x values that are greater than 2. The greater values are to the right. So that's why I am drawing this part of the line. And so that's it for number 7. That's what number 7 should look like. All right, let's do one more. Number 8. Okay, so let's start with y equals 3x. Let's do this piece. Our endpoint is going to be 1 comma something. The y value is going to be 3 times 1, which is 3. So I'm going to have an endpoint at 1 comma 3. This will be an open circle because we want values that are less than 1, not equal to 1. So 1 comma 3 is open circle, showing that it's not included. So there's my endpoint. Now my slope is 3, which I always think of that as 3 over 1. So if I were going to the right, I would go up 3 over 1 like this. That's my slope. But I'm not going to the right. I want x values that are less than 1. So I actually need to go to the left. So if I want to go to the left, I need to reverse this and go down 3, left 1. So I will continue to go down 3, left 1, down 3, left 1, and continue down 3, left 1, etc., etc. So the first piece of my piecewise function is going to look like this. Okay, and I'm just going to erase these extra points. And now let's go back and do the other piece of my piecewise function. Okay, so my other piece is going to be y equals x plus 2. Let's get that endpoint, 1 comma something. What's the y value going to be? Well, it's going to be 1 plus 2. So my y value is going to be 3. That's interesting because it's the same endpoint as I had before. Now this time it's supposed to be a closed circle. Now do not do this. Alright, we have an open circle and then now I'm going to put a closed circle on it. So sometimes what I will see students do is they'll see the open circle and then they'll try to put a closed circle inside of it, you know, like a donut or something. That's not the way this works. If you have an open circle and then a closed circle in the same place, it's simply a closed circle. Do not try to leave a dot surrounded by empty space. Alright, just fill it in completely. It's a closed circle now. Okay, now, so I'm going to use the slope, which is this invisible 1 over 1, meaning up 1, right 1 from here. So up 1, right 1 from the endpoint will look like this. And I do want the right hand side of the line because I want my x values to be greater than or equal to 1. So the greater than tells me I need to go to the right. Alright, so this piece of the piecewise function will look like this. And that's it. So your graph for number 8 should look like this. Hey guys, that's going to do it for this video. I hope it was helpful, and I will see you on the next video.